Hello everyone, and welcome back. This is Wait, Why Can't I Leave? By JazzTazz. By the way, I will not actually be singing these. Chapter 7, The 3 a.m. Anxiety. Chat name, The Pros and Cons, 3:17 a.m. Blurr. Yeah, here we go for the 100th time. Hand grenade pins in every line. Throw them up and let them shine. Going out of my fucking mind. Coffee. Kid, why are you up at this time? Blurr. Filthy mouth, no excuse. Find a new place to hang this news. Stream me up from atop these roofs. Knot it tight so I won't lose. Coffee. Kid, are you okay? Not a cop. It's 3 a.m. Oh, we're here to talk if you need it. Blurr. Next. Ah, finally. Coffee. Question mark. Not a cop. I am concerned for Blurr. Coffee. Same here. I just hope he reaches out. Blurr. I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. God, I'm so fucking tired. Coffee. I wonder why you are oh so tired. Not a cop. So we're just ignoring the concerning stuff now? Coffee. Honestly, I think he's just singing and not realizing his phone is picking all this up. Not a cop. Oh, that honestly makes a decent amount of sense. Coffee. I wonder why. Chat name, The Pros and Cons, 6:29 a.m. Drugs. Whoa, what happened here? Cockatoo. Now, show, Blurr. What were you doing awake at 3 a.m. in the morning? Coffee. I had just gotten off patrol. Not a cop. I had to do paperwork for said hero who had just gotten off of patrol. Cockatoo. Okay, fine. Makes sense. At Blurr. What were you doing awake? Drugs. At Blurr. You can't be that concerning, then ignore us when we question. Cockatoo. Answer me! Coffee. Have either of you considered, maybe, just maybe, he's asleep right now? Drugs. Okay, well, maybe, but he is a child who has school today, and I know that because we have work today, so therefore, he'll be awake soon enough to get ready for school. Cockatoo. Then we question him before classes start. Drugs. It's a solid plan. Cockatoo. A foolproof plan indeed. Coffee. Well, he didn't reply to us earlier when he was supposedly awake, so who's to say he'll respond now? Cockatoo. And? Coffee. Your plan won't work then. Drugs. Do you think that's going to stop us? Coffee. Unfortunately, no. I feel bad for him, having to put up with you two bugging him. Cockatoo. I am offended. Coffee. Good. Chat name, The Pros and Cons, 11:45 a.m. Blurr. Oh, fuck. Welp. Drugs. Blurr, you appeared! Blurr. No, I have not appeared. I am a figment of your imagination. Coffee. Sure, we'll go with that. Blurr. Well, this is awkward. Not a cop. Seriously, though, are you okay? Blurr. Yesn't. Drugs. Blurr, I love the word you made, but you need to answer this seriously. You can't just yesn't your way out of this. Blurr. But I was being serious. In that point in time, I was okay. Just not as okay as I should be. Cockatoo. Which means... Blurr. Sleep is evil. It don't like me. Speed. First, you can text Spirit. Now you add these, and no one is telling me how. Drugs. Dude, how do you not know this? I understand the weird texting, but not this. Blurr. Coffee. We're off topic again. Drugs. God damn it, 10. Speed. Hey, it's not my fault. Drugs. Yes, it is. I hold you personally responsible. Speed. Look who's taking us off topic now. Drugs. This doesn't count. Speed. Yes, it does. If me being confused counts as going off topic, then you yelling at me counts as well. Cockatoo. You are both going off topic. Drugs. Fuck off, Zashi. You aren't helping. Cockatoo. At Coffee. Nem is bullying me. Coffee. I hate my life. Blurr, relatable. Cockatoo, wait, no, stop, both of you. Drugs, god damn it. Coffee, back on topic. Blurr, shit. Coffee, what was that this morning? Blurr, so I couldn't sleep, and I decided to listen to music, accidentally sang along, my phone picked it up, sent it for some reason, I don't know really why, but yeah. Coffee, makes sense. Not a cop. What the fuck were you listening to? Blurr, just a playlist of mine. Drugs, and it's called? Blurr, angst. Coffee, fucking problem child. Blurr, Cockatoo, aw, show gave you a nickname. Blurr, I'm going to assume that's good. Drugs, extremely. Coffee, shut. Drugs, means he likes you. Blurr, really? Cockatoo, yup. Blurr, it's a gif, sort of thing. Drugs, you good, dude? Blurr, I'm not crying, you are. Drugs, why? Blurr, I have not had a good nickname in so long, it feels so nice. Speed, yet another fact to add to the collection of concern. Blurr, fuck. Before I start chapter 8, I forgot to mention in the last video that whenever Tensei is confused about like Izuku and all the text type of things, it's because he's using fonts. So I hope that clears up any confusion, if there was any. And, okay. Chapter 8. Likely a result of living. Izuku was sick, because of course he was. He let his curiosity get the better of him, causing him to get a virus. The annoying thing was it wasn't from anyone at school. All thanks to his quirk, he in the real world had a computer virus. Even more annoyingly, it was a strong one, to the point he had to miss school. And for Izuku, missing school wasn't an option. Anytime he had in the past, he was always met with increased bullying the next day. Or he would be met with everyone whispering their disappointment. Izuku was honestly tempted to not go to school again once he got better. He could probably get away with it. He just had to fake Inko's email address and hope they wouldn't try calling her. He decided then and there, with his feverish head, he would stop going to Aldera. Deciding and doing were two very different things, Izuku soon realized. Deciding was the first, sometimes easier, step of anything. Doing meant actually following through with the plan. Doing was so much harder than deciding most of the time, and Izuku hated it. He had to send an email through Izuku's account without her knowing because God knows what would happen if she realized he had access. Which then meant he would had to be constantly monitoring her account for when the school replied so that she wouldn't get the chance to see it. Izuku jumped when an email came through, checking it was the one he needed. 2. Ingo Midoriya. From hidden email. Subject. Bank account breach. Miss Midoriya, you need to act fast. Your bank account has been... Click to read more. Not the one Izuku was looking for then. Izuku half wanted to click the email, if only to infect Inko's email address with this scam, but unfortunately, he had other things to do. Another email appeared. To Inko Midoriya, from Fuga Yoshihara. Withdrawing from Aldera. Miss Midoriya, immediate withdrawal from Aldera High at this time will cost 91,934,055 yen. You have until XYZ to pay for your child, Izuku Midoriya. Will still be enrolled for the remainder of the term. Kindest regards, Fuga Yoshihara, Principal of Aldera Junior High. Izuku quickly hit the email from Inko's inbox. He hated how much he'd need to pay a school just to leave. He should pay as quickly as possible to get himself out quicker, but he would have to pay through Inko's bank account without her noticing. Well, he wasn't an infamous hacker for nothing, if he could even call him that. All he had to do was transfer the amount needed into Inko's account, then transfer it from her account to pay the school, and hide the transactions. Izuku grabbed money from Endeavor's account. He hadn't grabbed this much all at once before, but that shouldn't be a problem. Endeavor had an insane amount of money and didn't deserve any of it. It was easy enough to pay the school and hide the transactions, and even easier to hide the email confirming such transactions. Izuku was no longer going to Aldera. A weight was lifted off his chest. He spent the rest of his day researching schools. He'd have to finish middle school somehow. Izuku debated whether he should do online school, but decided against it. If he was in online school, he'd practically never leave the internet, let alone his house. Even if he were to go into UA, would mean having to get used to people all over again. So Izuku decided to go to a normal school, though one far away, that he wouldn't have anyone from Aldera tell people at his new school of his previously quirkless status. That was yet another thing he would have to do, change his quirk registry. He didn't want a repeat of Aldera. He needed a fresh start. Izuku decided to call his quirk Hack. He wasn't too worried about not a cop finding out who he was, as they have already looked through the quirk registry and would have likely decided to stop at this point. He put in the information section of the quirk registry that the quirk was just allowed him to access the internet whenever. He wouldn't reveal that he can teleport with his quirk. It took a while, but he finally decided on a school, Nabu Middle School. It was close enough that Izuku wouldn't need to move. It was just a meh school in general, but Izuku didn't mind. He didn't want to spend any money on a new school other than what was the necessary uniform-wise. And of course, since he was joining in the middle of the term, he had to spend more of Endeavor's money. Oh no, the worst. Izuku had everything he needed. All he had to do was actually walk to school. Gross. He arrived a few minutes before the bell rang. On the board was a seating chart. Izuku found where he was meant to sit. He was next to someone named Hitoshi Shinso, who he could only assume to be the person with lilac hair. The teacher arrived just as the bell rang. She introduced Izuku to the class, then introduced herself as Sudani-sensei? I think that's right. Midoriya, would you like to share your quirk with the class? Izuku already didn't have a good feeling about this school. Nonetheless, he felt like he had to say his quirk. My quirk is called Hack. It just lets me access the internet whenever. He hated his stutter. A few people said his quirk was cool. It felt nice. Sudanai-sensei moved on to the first lesson. Class wasn't all that interesting. Soon enough, it was lunch. Izuku realized he likely wouldn't have to hide from everyone this year. Before he could even leave the classroom, though, people came up to him. Hey, Midoriya. I'm Natsuhiro Yokoyama. Yokoyama? I'm sorry. We should be friends. Yokoyama told him. Izuku wasn't sure. He was getting weird vibes from him. Or Izuku hadn't had friends in so long, he thought everyone was out to get him. He decided to give Yokoyama the benefit of the doubt. Okay. He wished he hadn't. Chapter 9. How am I supposed to live, laugh, and love in these conditions? Izuku sat with Yokoyama and his friends, Sakino and Sanai, and Fumihiro Kitahara. They all seemed nice. Izuku couldn't tell. They all have weird vibes coming from them. He couldn't help but think, would they still have wanted to be friends with him if he hadn't updated his quirk registry, or had even had a quirk in the first place? Everyone at his old school didn't seem to, so what if they were the same, only treating him this way because he has a quirk? Izuku mentally sighed, not wanting them to question him. Oh, by the way, Midoriya, Yokoyama started. Izuku had to hide a flinch. He hated that name, but didn't correct him. Something told him not to let them call him Izuku. I'd stay away from Shinzo as much as possible. Why? I think I sit next to him in class. Izuku was worried, to say the least. He just wanted to go one day without any drama. Was that too much to ask for? Yeah, unfortunately for you, he's gonna be a villain, Kane said with a sneer. Izuku could see her eyes change from green to red. Must be to do with her quirk. How do you know? He was curious. While they were all close enough to being adults, they were still all 14. To have someone already planning to be a villain this early had to mean something. He has a villain quirk. He could brainwash you into doing anything. This time, Kirahara spoke. Izuku had no idea what his quirk could be. Has he done that before? Izuku asked. He had a feeling he wouldn't like the answer. Not here, but rumor has it he is the reason his parents are dead. That his quirk came in while driving, and he brainwashed the rescuers to save him, and not his parents. Izuku was right. He hated every word that came out of Kirahara's mouth. He couldn't stand being there much longer. I've got to go. Tsunai-sensei needed to talk to me before lunch ended. Izuku lied, hoping to get away. He needed time to think this over. Oh, okay. See you later, Midoriya. All three said their goodbyes and went back to talking amongst themselves when Izuku left. He still had over 10 minutes before class started, so he went up to the rooftop like he did at Aldera to think. Once he was finally at the rooftop, he entered the internet and set himself a timer. He figured the group chat would know what to do. Chat name. The pros and cons. Blurr. I need help with something, so I changed schools and made some friends. They told me not to go near someone, but I'm not sure whether they are helping me or being quirkist. Coffee. That's rough, buddy. Blurr. Now is not the time for quoting characters. I have like a few minutes before I gotta go. Cockatoo. Why don't you get to know the person they're talking about first, then decide? Blurr. That's just it. I want to, but as we've established, I can't talk to people. Jugs. Then how'd you start talking to your friends? Blurr. They started talking to me, and I was overwhelmed and let them. Coffee. Yeah, that makes sense. Same thing happened to me by almost everyone in this chat. Blurr. So it's a good thing? Should I trust their word? Coffee. Not until you have the evidence they mean well. Cockatoo. Oh, I remember when Sho was interrogating everyone. Coffee. Shut. Cockatoo. Don't worry, we all know it was because of your trust issues. Now. Blurr. God, people are so confusing. Coffee. Agreed. Speed. To summarize what they're trying to tell you, get to know everyone and figure it out from there. Blurr. But that means talking to people. Speed. Yes. Blurr. But people are scary. Jugs. You weren't scared of us. Blurr. But I'm not talking to you directly. There's a whole screen between us. Therefore, easy. Jugs. I do not understand the logic in that. Coffee. I do. Blurr. At Jugs. Just understand it then. I'm gonna go now. Izuku went back into the real world. He still had a few minutes before the bell went, so he laid down on the roof and started talking to himself. So either I believe everything said to me and possibly be friends with assholes, or I had to overcome anxiety and talk to even more people. And then if I do that, either they were lying to me or I get bullied, or even both. Izuku took a deep breath. He had this weird feeling that someone had heard him, but he was alone on the rooftop, right? And that is the end of these chapters. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I ain't got no more words. Maybe go on AO3, give the person some kudos or something. Subscribe or comment. Yeah, have a nice day.